Yeah, hello everybody. This is Howard, the Teaserking, coming to you with week 4 of college football already. I had a rough week last week and then I hit good games and then the other half of the teaser would lose a couple of times. So sometimes I put the losers together and sometimes the losers are with the winners. So that's what happened. I did hit my lock, South Florida, laying 4 or 5 to Illinois. And it was really a surprisingly close game because Illinois is a really bad team with a really bad defense. South Florida put up 400 yards passing, but it was just Illinois ran the ball on them a lot more than they have been. I think their quarterback was hurt, which is why I really like South Florida even better. But they just ran the ball down their throat. South Florida got a few turnovers. You know, it's a road game. It's still a Big Ten team, even though Illinois is terrible. And anyway, we got the W there. And I went with the under in the LSU Auburn game, under 50, I believe, or 51, and it was, what was it, 22-21, 43. I mean, that's really picking, I rank all the teams, right? So are they an over team? Are they an under team? Or if they're really strong, you play them. If they're really weak, you play against them. So looking at that, Auburn, very strong defense, good quarterback. They don't have the running game they usually do. And LSU has this great defense. Quarterback I don't know much about. He's showing, he beat Miami, now he came back against Auburn with a real good win. And so that's what you're looking for. When two dominant defenses play, you're going to play it under. That's just the, and when two really strong offenses play, like if Ohio State played Alabama, I would definitely go over in that game. For Ohio State to score what they did on TCU is impressive. TCU has a really good defense. So with that said, the locks are great. The locks are 7-1 this year, 4-0 last week, 2-0 the first week, 1-1. The only game I lost was Notre Dame, Ball State, because Ball State is supposed to have a really bad defense, from what I read. And this is where the more information you get, that's why I always get stronger as the year goes on. Because I'm relying on the magazine in the beginning. I mean, I know Michigan and Ohio State and Alabama, but Ball State and the MAC teams, you're kind of relying a little bit more on the magazine. You read it, oh, their defense sucks, da 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 da. And the teams you got to watch out for is the defense sucked, but everybody got hurt and everybody's back, and all the guys who played last year are back. So you've got all this depth. That's what I think that's like Miami of Ohio and Akron and those teams. So with Ball State, they're supposedly a weak team, and Indiana blew them out by 20 last week. So it just shows you that they're not that strong. But this Wimbush looks really weak, and I had Notre Dame under with Vanderbilt because Vanderbilt, you don't think of them as a big defensive team, but all of a sudden they held Nevada to nothing. They held another big scoring team to nothing. UNLV, I think, or something like that. So they've been very strong defensively against very good quarterbacks, very good offenses. So with that said, I thought Vanderbilt's defense would keep it under, and it was an easy under. It was easier than the LSU under. So that's where I'm going now, and I'm ranking the quarterbacks, I'm ranking the defenses, I'm looking at points allowed, but you got to be careful when you look at points allowed and points for. If a team beats a high school team 65 to nothing, it's hard to say they're going to score 65 on a decent team, Indiana, Iowa, Minnesota. Are they going to score 60 on them? Of course not. Now, if they do score 60 on an Iowa or Minnesota, then there you go. Now you've got a real good team then. Another factor is like when a team plays A good team plays Alabama, like Ole Miss. They played Alabama, and they got killed. But so now you've got to skew like, okay, now they're playing, Cincinnati. Well, the averages got hit, so you almost got to take the Alabama game out unless they played Auburn and LSU. Then you bring in the Alabama game. So when you're looking at the numbers, you've got to be careful who they played, and if like Arkansas State played Alabama and got killed 63-7 or whatever, but Arkansas State scores 30, 35 points a game. They're a very explosive team when they play the team in the same level. So when they play Troy, when they play South Alabama and teams like that, they're going to put up 50 points. So that's where the numbers get a little skewed, is when they play the little team, the high school team, where they play the Alabama and the Ohio States. It really makes for the numbers to be skewed. So there's still, you've got some information, but you don't have enough. There was a couple of games I'm looking at, and I want to play them, but I'm like, oh, I don't know. They played one team, and then they played a high school team. I don't have enough information. That's what I hate when these hurricanes happen, and the game gets postponed. I mean, I don't hate the hurricane happening. I'm sorry for that, but so now a couple of teams only have 2 games, and if one of them's against the high school team, you don't have enough data. You only have one data point to really gain your analysis on, and one high school team. So you're kind of scratching your head. Hopefully you know the quarterback. Hopefully you know your defense. And now you're relying like week 1 on the magazine going, oh, okay, they're supposed to have a good defense, and they haven't played enough games. So I got a good game for everybody this week. Boston College against Purdue. Boston College is 6.5, 7-point favorites. Over or under of 67-68. One of my customers asked me, well, where do you get your line from? I can't get the same line as you. And I'm looking between my bookies and between Vegas. I do Vegas Insider, and I just take the best line available that I would bet, or my bet would be. So if I see 6 and then a bunch of 7s, I'm going to take the 6 if I'm taking the favorite. If I'm going over and I see 66 and 67s and 68s, I'm going to use 66. So that's all I'm doing, is I'm just taking the best number available, and I highly advise you to shop, because as you saw in the New Orleans game, I hit it dead on from the standpoint I told you to get under 3. If it was 9, buy the half a point to get to 2.5. At 9.5, buy the point to get to 2.5. Only because you're scoring 3s. Now, I in that game, I thought New Orleans should have won by 30 points. I don't know how the game got close. It was like Cleveland couldn't do anything. New Orleans marching up and down the field and turning the ball over. And then at the end, Tyrod Taylor is like, New Orleans, I don't know what's wrong with them. That secondary, again, burned them in the Minnesota game, and it burned them, and the guy just went right by him. How do you let the guy get by you? There's no way they can win. They're down 6, so they got to score a touchdown, and you let the guy get by you. Just amazing. But that's what happens. That's why it's important to shop. It's important to get the key numbers. Over 7, get 7.5. Under 3, you got to get 2.5. So those are key numbers, because that's how you score. Over 10, under 14, under 21, under 7. So that's what you're trying to do. So, and I know you know that, but it's just some people don't, whatever, and then they lose by the half a point, and instead of winning a couple $100, you're losing a couple $100, and it adds up over the long run. Plus, you don't pay juice when you win, and you pay juice when you lose. So you get a winner by the half a point, and you're not paying the juice, and you're collecting. Okay, let's go inside the numbers here. Boston College, Purdue. Here's how I'm analyzing the game. When I look at it, Boston College scores 52 a game, gives up 23. And Their quarterback, Anthony Brown, I list as a 1 quarterback, which means strong, 5 is weak. Running back A.J. Dillon, very strong. Also, I don't list running backs 1 and 2, but I do say he's a really good running back. Offensively, they throw for 209 a game, run for 286, 494, 500 yards a game, but they're scoring 52, so they got to blow out. They probably, ease it up. But I have them as a 3 defense. And a 3 defense is good for an over because you're going to, you need the defense that's going to allow points too. The best over team is Missouri because they're going to score 50, but their defense is terrible. And they're going to give up 50 like they did against Purdue last week. So therefore, that's the best over team. BC, they've got a decent defense, but it's not like the defense they used to have. So you have a very strong 50-point team, an over team. They can run too, which I like because the quarterback has an off day, I'm going to run it down your throats. So BC, very strong offensive team, plays Purdue. Purdue scores 27 a game, gives up 30. So BC is going to score a lot because Purdue gives up 30. And they've given up 30 against Northwestern. They gave up 32. Eastern, they gave up only 22. Eastern Michigan. And then last week, I think it was like it was 40 to 37. So they gave up 40 to Missouri. So here's my point. Missouri plays Purdue, and it's a 77. So that's what I'm looking at. So here you can go. Now, I love Purdue's coach, Jeff Brom, who was at Western Kentucky, and they're scoring a lot. He knows how to score a lot. David Blau, the quarterback, I rank him as a 2. He throws a few too many interceptions, but last week he threw for 500 yards because he was playing a weak Missouri defense. Here he's got a fairly weak Boston College defense. Not a big running attack. They run a balanced spread. Now they throw for 230 a game and they run for about 200. So it's 4 1/4. They're kind of balanced. They're much stronger at home. BC should score a lot. So now you're thinking, well, what do I want to do? Let's go to the quarterbacks. Let's look at their stats. So BC is ACC. So Anthony Brown throws for 208 yards a game, but 9 touchdowns and no interceptions. Why is that important? Because you can throw for a lot of yards and no touchdowns. I mean, that's the problem when you don't get a lot of touchdowns. Like Kelly Bryant from Clemson, I mean, he throws for 135, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. They don't score. Clemson's a very good under team, but they're not a good scorer. Here's the other guy, Trevor Lawrence. He's a little better, 143, 5 touchdowns and 1 interception. So you can see he's more productive. They're going to score more with this Trevor Lawrence than Kelly Bryant, which is one of the problems Clemson, why they lost. The quarterback's always the key to it. Let's look at Purdue. David Blau, 230 yards a game, 3 touchdowns and 1 interception. He's not scoring as much as he should. He should have Northwestern, fairly good defense, but against Eastern Michigan and then Missouri, he should have 5 or 6 touchdowns instead of only 3. But he's only thrown 1 interception, so let's give him a little bit of credit there. When I look at the trends, Purdue, now they're a home dog, so Purdue is a home dog. 3-0. Purdue's 14-2 against the number of the last 16. Purdue 2-1 against as a home dog. 9-7 against. So they've been really hot with Jeff Brom. So with Jeff Brom, they're 14-2 against the number. Boston College as a road favorite, 3-0, and Boston College is 13-2 against the number. This is last year and a couple of games this year. If we go back to 2016, now you're going to see a little more. See, this is where the coach comes in. Right now, Purdue's only 5-3 as a home dog, 7-1 against as a home dog. And BC, where they weren't very strong, still 4-0 as a road favorite, 3-1 against. if I quickly go into to look at the game, so I'm kind of showing the effort I put into each game, and really the keys to look at, because most handicappers, I don't know what, they're not. If you don't look at the right things, you can't handicap. So let's see, Purdue and Boston College, where are they? Okay, no, that's last week. Purdue, Boston College is there. Okay. Sorry, just 1 second. Okay, there it is. So if we look at who they played, I've already mentioned Purdue's teams, right? They lost to Northwestern 31-27, a 58. Eastern 20-19, and Missouri 40-37. So in the Missouri game, they throw for 570 yards, and Missouri's very balanced, gets 600 yards, 375 through the year. Eastern throws for 350 through the year, and Northwestern only 235, and Purdue threw for 270. Now what's really strange is the second week against Eastern, Purdue runs the ball for 340, but only passes for 135. So it's a really strange why they didn't throw more. Boston College, now here's where you get a little skewed. They scored 55 on UMass, who's not good, 62 on Holy Cross, but then against Wake they get 41. So when I talk about the high school team, that's Holy Cross, and then Mass isn't that good. Wake Forest, while they're not great, at least it's a ACC team that's a pretty strong team this year. They run for 220, they pass for 300. They give up 300 rushing and 200 passing. So you can see they give up 500 yards. So Purdue should score a lot. Purdue got 500 throwing. In these games, Mass threw for 250 on them. Holy Cross did nothing. And then Wake kind of was real balanced. So what you have here are two good offenses. Again, now the Wake game was a 41-34 game. So they scored 40 on Wake's impressive, and they gave up 34. So that tells me Purdue's going to score in the 30s. Purdue giving up 40 to Missouri and 31 to Northwestern tells me they're going to let up in the 30s. So I can see Purdue easily getting somewhere in the mid-30s, and I see BC getting somewhere in the 40s, which puts this game in about a 70-75. We got an over-under of 60. Where am I? Over-under of 66-67. So there you have it. So that's roughly 60 points. So 60 points, if you break it out, is 31. Let's say 32 to 30 is a winner, is a 62. And from all I can see here, BC is a scoring machine without that defense. And Purdue gives up 31 to Northwestern. So let's take this into effect. Let's look at Northwestern real quick. Northwestern only scores 24 a game and gives up 29. Now they played Duke, and they played, I don't remember the other team they played. I think they lost them both, but Northwestern doesn't score a lot, yet still scored 30 on Purdue. I got Purdue as a 3 team. Ohio State's a 1, Illinois is a 5, Rutgers is a 5. Northwestern's a 3. So they give up, they get 24, give up 29. So that's about right. Purdue got 30 on them, or Purdue got 27, Northwestern got 30. So it's right where it should be. So that's just on average, it's a 60-point game right there. But you've got an explosive Boston College team. And if I look at the Missouri game as a close to Boston College, maybe a little bit more running, which is good because the team gets tired in the second half, and then these long runs start happening and scoring. So that's what I look at. So basically, I don't want to go against Purdue as a home dog, but I don't want to take them either because I don't love their quarterback, but I think he can score. Looking at the Missouri game, you got a 70 there. You got a 74. So, or 77, it's 40-37. You got 77 points. So they're scoring. I love the coach. He's going to score with Purdue, BC. So you got, what was it, 66, I said, 67. So let's say 67. So 61. So I don't see any reason not that both, if we take the Northwestern game, it's 58. And Northwestern's got a lot better defense than Boston College. So if that's a 58, you figure we're going to be in the 70s here. We're going to be probably both in the 40s, or because neither defense is a shut. They're not playing LSU, they're not playing Alabama, they're not playing Ohio State. So this is not a shutdown defense. So both teams can throw, they can run, they're going to score. The defenses really won't stop, and I think it's the best way to play this game. I went over 61, 62, whatever the best line is. And that's what my advice is. This is a good over game. Two very good offenses playing kind of weak defenses. Not the greatest quarterback, but BC's got one. I'm betting Purdue's coach will score a lot. He designs nice plays. So take the over in the BC-Purdue game, over 61, which both teams need to do is get into the 30s, which shouldn't be a problem. Maybe even they'll probably, I would imagine somebody hits 40, and then it would even be 42-20, 62. And both these teams will definitely hit the 30s, but I don't see why they won't hit the 40s. So that's Teaser King's pick of the week. I have a very strong lock going in college. I love this game. I've got them in 2 teasers. So when I say a lock, I'm locking the team. So example, last week I locked South Florida. Now if I have South Florida in 2 teasers, it's one lock, South Florida, but it's in 2 teasers. Sorry. It's in 2 teasers. So that's what you're looking at. So I got 2 locks in college, and I've got the 1 lock in multiple teasers, and then I've got 2 locks in the pros, again using 3 teams. So I've got 1 team and 2 locks in the pros with 2 other teams. I love the pros this week. I'm getting enough information. I'm seeing what I want to see. I feel really comfortable. All the trends are coming in. Basically, I could have played, I think I had 2 losers last week. One of my losers was New England. Go figure them out, to lose to Jacksonville without Fournette. But that happens. And I think, did I lose another? I don't know, but I hit like 7, let's say I was 7-2. And then I didn't play the Giants in 9, which was a trend, because that's a dog series. And I didn't play Seattle because of the injuries. Seattle in 9 was a winner. And the Minnesota-Green Bay game, I never got a line till like late Sunday. And the play on that was the favorite. But I didn't like that it just came out at 3. I would have taken the favorite at a 1. If it came out Minnesota 1, and then it went up to 3, I would have had Minnesota in 4.5. So anyway, that's kind of, I got a really good feeling on that. So you basically have 3 lock teasers going this week. I got 1, 2, 3 with 5 teams in it. So there's really 5 teams in a lock. Call it any way you want. I know teasers are a little more confusing. People ask me my percentage, and I say it doesn't matter. The percentage isn't the key, because if I play more units on one teaser, so let's say I play an 11-unit teaser, and you go $100 a unit. So you bet $1,100 on the teaser. The other teaser I got for 5 units, $500. And we win the $1,100, and we lose the $500. And I win, and I lose both teams in the 500 teaser, but I win the 11. Well, I went 2-2. I went 500. Did I really go 500? The picks, yes, but not making money. I made $600, because I made the 11 and I lost the 5. So that's why the percentage doesn't matter. It's how, and that's really how I do the teasers. That's how I'm so successful at it. It's seeing that game and playing it bigger and playing it with other games you see stronger, and then you kind of say, oh, I like this game, I like that game, and you play it, but for a lot smaller. And a lot of times you win the smaller one, but sometimes you don't. But the key is when you see that really strong game that you jump on it. So that's the really key to the teaser, as well as like this is a great week to buy the package because you got 5 teams in locks. That's a 5-team teaser. Without thinking about it, it's easy pickings. So that's what you want to look at. So this is a great week to buy the locks or just buy the whole package. Anyway, so the more information comes out, I'm always looking for that team. This year, like Hawaii, before reading the magazine, I would never play Hawaii. In fact, I took Navy against Hawaii. Now I'm loving Hawaii. I had them against Army last week. I didn't lock it because the game started at noon, and for Hawaii that was 5 in the morning, so I couldn't lock Hawaii. I loved them getting 7, and they lost by 7. I had them plus 13, but the more info you get, the better it is, and that's what's happening. So I really I'll be betting Hawaii a lot. I'll have to ease up when they play Boise and Fresno State. So you got to watch who they play. You don't want to, some guy. I have a friend in Florida, and he's from Utah, and he goes to me and he says, "Well, I like Washington. I like Utah against Washington." And I basically rule number 1 is don't mess with the big gun. You don't bet against Alabama unless you got Ohio State, unless you got another big gun. So I told him I'm not going to bet against Washington. Utah's okay, but Washington's the best team out there, and I'm not going to take Utah plus 11 or 12 against Washington, which would have been a loser. It's hard to take Washington in that spot because it is it's at Utah, which is a good team. But that was my point. You can't bet against the super strong team. It's going to hurt you. So you look for your spots. You look for them when they're playing the weaker teams, which is why I like playing the favorites. I got another friend. He doesn't like, I don't want to lay what? I don't want to bet the favorite. And I'm like, the favorite win. Penn State won by 100 points last week over Kent State. So there's nothing wrong. The favorites do cover. You just got to know when the favorite, you look for them against a weaker team, that's all. Or Alabama in the opener or whatever. You look for the dominant matchup. The quarterback gets injured on the other team. I'm not betting the dog there. I'm going to bet the favorite because they can't come back. So you just look at it. But anyway, Teaserking for the year, 7-1 in my locks. Like I said, 1, 2, 3 locks going with 5 teams. 2 in the pros, 1 in college this week. Really love the college. I love them all, but that college one just, wow, it just really blows me away. And the pro one was just like, I saw it and I said, that's it, that's the lock. So this should be a big weekend. You can play 5-team teasers, you can play more. I got about 8 or 10 picks in college already, and my hardest part is matching them. I don't want to do what I did last week. I want to be a little more careful putting them together. So if I'm a little bit hesitant about one team, I'm putting it with the other team that I'm a little hesitant. And why am I hesitant? It's just some unknown stuff. How hard do I play Team A? But I'm not really sure about Team B, but I like Team A. So I'm going to play them, but I'm not going to play, So it's a game to play, or the trend's good, or they're playing a 5 defense, Notre Dame, Ball State. So when they play a weak defense, you want to jump on it, but maybe the spread's too high. But you still like it, so you don't play as much. If the spread was 10 points lower, it'd be a lock, but, do I really want to lay 35? Okay, but I'll play it because they're playing a really bad team. So that's why some of the reasons, if I don't like the number, that I don't really want to play. I play it for less. I still like the team to win. All right, everybody, www.teaserking.com. highly advised to buy this week. 5 good lock games, 3 lock teasers. Pros on fire with already. College been really strong. Last week was a little bit strange, but the first 2 were strong, and this one looks strong too. And I'm trying to be very careful and try to avoid the loser and just hit the winners. So, all right, everybody, have a great week. Again, Howard the Teaser King, www.teaserking.com. If you want me to pick picks, or just buy the advisory, $35. You got to PayPal it. I don't know if people don't have PayPal or what. I'll get an inquiry. How do I pay you? And I say, go to the site, use PayPal, or just use PayPal to my email that's on the site. That's all you do, and I'll either send you the games or the password, whatever you want. So I don't know. If you don't have PayPal, you'd need a way to get the money to me with like a MoneyGram or something. But anyway. All right, everybody. Have a great week, and good luck this weekend.